The story begins with our exhausted protagonist climbing a mountain, being teased by the children for being weak, being tricked by his editor into coming on this trip, while the guy stayed comfortably at home. While he was thinking of a way to get revenge, the iron bar he was leaning on broke and he ended up falling off the cliff. After waking up from the great pain he felt in his body, he realized that his hands were tied, and in front of him was a beautiful girl, saliva dripping from her mouth. At the same time, he said in a strange language that it had very tender meat and that it would be funny when it was cooked. Upon hearing it, the protagonist despaired, but when he thought that this would be his end, the feline girl cut the rope that tied his arms, and he mentioned that even if he is hungry, he will not eat any person. Upon seeing his appearance better, the protagonist noticed that he had ears and also an animal tail, finally realizing that he had been transported to another world, and being a novelist, it was not difficult for him to accept this fact. Then looking around, he was surprised that this place seemed to be somewhat backwards. Looking outside the hut, he saw several animal-like humanoid beings, and seeing this, he confirmed that he was transported to a world where society was still primitive. The next moment, the girl's father, who is also the chief of this village, appeared and asked him what was his purpose in coming here, but the protagonist couldn't understand his language, so he has no idea what they are talking about in front of him. Due to his thin and delicate appearance, plus the fact that the sorcerer wanted to meet this boy, the village chief thought that the protagonist came from a big village, and when he went to the sorcerer, the townspeople were surprised since he had no horns or wings. He realized that they were just looking at him curiously and had no desire to eat his meat, so they must not be a tribe of cannibals. In addition to that, they let him rest, and they must not have the intention of harming him. In another scene, the strongest warriors in the village are shown saying that they need a new sorcerer, but everyone in the tribe was tested, and none of them had magical talents. The only one left to take the test was the strange subject they found 3 days ago, so with no other options, they asked to bring the stranger. When the protagonist entered the store, he noticed that the old man is the leader of this tribe, and seeing him weak, he planned to take him hostage if things went wrong. But looking into the old man's eyes, he felt his soul leaving his body, and in this strange dimension, a fire dragon appeared. Along with the dragon, the old man also appeared, and explained that this place was located within his soul. The old man then transmitted the language of his tribe directly into his soul. After opening his eyes, he mentions that he will be a part of this town as their new sorcerer. The news spread quickly when the other villagers found out. They were happy since the tribe will survive and they will not be treated as outcasts, so the girl named Manhwa said that from now on she will take care of him. So she explained that her tribe is called Yanlong and the strongest in the tribe is the sorcerer, but if there isn't one, then the tribe will be destroyed. The second in command is his father, the head of the village, followed by the hunter captain, and last are the soldiers who protect the village. Previously they all lived on an ancient fertile land, so they did not have to worry about water or food. There were 300 people, and with 65 soldiers in the hunting party, but 6 months ago they were targeted by the Black Snake tribe. Many of them died and their lands were taken from them, forcing them to migrate to these desert lands, so has as its objective to become stronger to save his companions who were captured, and to recover his ancestral land. As the protagonist walked through the town, he saw that most of the people are thin and pale from malnutrition. Their environment is very poor, in addition to poor hygiene, which makes it easier to become contaminated with bacteria. If a pandemic broke out, a big disaster would happen. Desperate, not knowing how to fix it, he heard a robotic voice in his head telling him that the daily help system was activated. If he check in daily, he will receive a random help package for beginners, and the rest of the packs will be unlocked 1 year after activating the system. But if they don't solve the problem now, in a year they will all end up dying. Interrupting his thoughts, the girl took him to the hut where his new home would be for him to rest. He quickly settled on the bed to take a nap, but being lying down he perceived a smell of milk coming out of the bed. Suddenly, the girl jumped on the protagonist and told him to stop sniffing her bed. Then she realized that the two would live together. He ignores the fact that she had animal horns and ears, since she has a beautiful face and a perfect body, so he agrees to live with her. The embarrassed girl told him that she would not stay long because tonight she would go on patrol. After his departure, the star recorded his first day in the system and got an intermediate support package, from which he obtained the level 1 healing ability, and the more he uses it, the level will increase. Then when reviewing his current state, he realized that it was not enough to survive in this tribe. Elsewhere, the old man is shown saying that it doesn't matter that the origin of the protagonist is unknown, he will become the new sorcerer. The reason for the urgency is because your body will only hold out for a few more days. And seeing the poor condition of the old man, the village chief was frustrated by his weakness, as the sorcerer was injured while protecting the tribe from the attack of black snakes. The old man told him not to worry. Instead, he must prepare the ceremony for his his session within 3 days. And you don't have to worry that it is some spy, since he checked his soul and there is no evil in him. But he was as clean as a river, and he could belong to some legendary tribe. Just as the boss was going to make the preparations, the old man stopped him and mentioned that the descendants of a sorcerer usually have extraordinary talent. Therefore, it would be better if the tribe had many generations of sorcerers. Being more specific, the old man wanted the protagonist to have more descendants. Later, when the village chief was leaving the hut, he saw his daughter trying to eavesdrop on their conversation. But he didn't care, and told her that she had to marry the young sorcerer and have several children. Hearing this shocking news, his brain short-circuited for a few seconds. Returning to normal, she says that she will only marry someone who can beat her. But her father told her that there is no one in the town who can beat her. Besides, she is already 19 years old, and she is at the age for her to have children. The girl says that instead of having children, she prefers to become stronger in order to take revenge. The next morning, our protagonist is trembling from so much cold, and looking at his new home, he saw that it had many holes. While trying to cover the holes, the girl appeared, and looking at him, she began to imagine her life having her children. Embarrassed, she patted him several times on the back, which almost killed the protagonist. The only thing he wanted was more straw to cover the holes. Realizing this, the girl offered to help him. As he went after her, he saw two girls sleeping, shivering from the cold without any blanket. The girl explained that most of the people don't have a house, and the skin of the animals is very valuable, so they have to hunt themselves. If they want to have a blanket, then the protagonist brought his straw to cover the two girls. And seeing this, the girl said that being the sorcerer, he was much more important than them. He affirmed that all people are equally important, and by saying this, he became more interested in him. Then at sunset, the hunting team returned from their mission. With this news, all the people came out to receive them, and they were happy to not have to go hungry for a while. While watching all this, the girl explained that most of the meat is distributed to the warriors, and a small part goes to the reserve soldiers and children. But the women and old people only eat once in a while, or they also collect food, wild fruits to eat. With this information, the protagonist came up with an idea, and asked if they ever tried to cultivate or raise animals, in order to have a source of food. Clearly being a person from a primitive era, she didn't understand the reason to take care of animals when they don't have enough to eat. When she thought of an easy way to explain it to her, the hunting team leader congratulated her on finally finding a husband, but she embarrassedly denied it, saying that the protagonist was the sorcerer's heir. The hunting team members, hearing this, told her they offered what they had hunted before getting the wrong idea. The girl told him that they only do it because he is the future sorcerer. Even a boy gave him his food, but the protagonist only accepted what the hunter gave him. At dusk, the girl asks him why he did not accept the meat, since it is an honor for the child to offer the meat to the sorcerer. But he replied that it would not feel good to receive food from a small child. Saying this, he noticed that he looked at his meat and his stomach would not stop rumbling. Asked if she wanted some, she refused, saying that she couldn't eat the sorcerer's heir's food. Of course, she didn't last long and said she would only take a small bite, but she ended up eating more than half of the meat. The protagonist ate the rest, but said it would taste better with a little salt. Realizing this, the girl offered him the salt she was saving. Losing her territory made it more difficult to get it, but she managed to save some little salt from old territory. Hearing this, he realized that salt was a valuable thing in this primitive society, so there was no way he could accept it. So he returned the salt to the girl. Thinking of a way to get the people out of poverty, she tells him that every 15 days the servant leopard tribe opens a market, and the nearby tribes come to them to buy various things, but there are still 10 days left for the next one. Opening of the market. Upon hearing this, the protagonist decided to go take a look to learn more about this world. A short time later, the village chief told him that the sorcerer was looking for him. When he saw him enter the hut, he entrusted him with the last moments of the great sorcerer, and he was not the only one, since the other warriors also noticed that the day had finally ended. Arrived, they felt afflicted by the departure of the person who took care of them since they were little, since they considered him as their own father, and at the same time, they prepared to welcome the new sorcerer of their tribe. Inside the hut, the old man explains everything he needs to know for tomorrow's ceremony. He tells him that the sorcerer is the one who protects the future of the tribe and guides them in the best direction. In this world, the power of the totems is the base of a tribe, and they are also different with respect to the other tribes. Only the sorcerer can control its power and activate the mark in the blood of the warriors. Apart from the sorcerer, the warriors with the marks are the strongest people of each race, and they have great potential because they all have a lot of chi in their blood. However, no matter how talented the warrior is, they will not be able to evolve naturally if there is no sorcerer who can guide that power. That is why the presence of a sorcerer is very important. In fact, everyone has the power of chi in their blood, and with the help of the sorcerer, even the weakest person can become a warrior. Also, if a person with with enough strength in their blood can be promoted through ritual. Reserve soldiers can deal with most beasts, but outside the tribe there are many more powerful beasts, and only warriors, stronger, can deal with them. Although there are few of them, they are the pillars of the tribe, and for a tribe to be strong, it completely depends on the number of warriors they have. The sorcerer's skills are not limited to just training warriors, but also create something called the sorcerer's domain, of which he gave a scroll to the protagonist, where it contains all his knowledge. When he opened it, he saw unknown words, but out of nowhere, the letters began to shine, making him dizzy. The sorcerer told him that he won't be able to read it for now, but when the succession ceremony is over, he will understand its content. Each domain is engraved with a spell, and only with your magical power will you be able to activate it. Of course, there are several types of magic, such as poison, healing, and blessing spells, which can increase strength and speed. The old man specializes in healing magic and a few other blessings, and he must remember that a sorcerer can never reveal his abilities to the public, because even if he is greatly admired, he also makes him an easy target. Then the old man told him to keep the scroll a secret, since it is the inheritance of the tribe. And when he finished saying that, suddenly the old man began to spit blood. Desperately, the protagonist tried to use his magic to heal him. The sorcerer told him not to waste his energy on him, since his body was very exhausted. His only regret was not being able to see the things that his successor will create in the future, but before leaving this world, he will use his last forces to finish the succession ceremony. After waiting 63 years, the time has come to appoint a new sorcerer to guide the tribe. At the beginning of the ceremony, the strongest warriors offered their blood according to the old man's request, which flew towards the sorcerer, where a sphere of blood was formed, and with that the totem was completed, to later become a golden dragon, which then entered the body of the protagonist, and to end the ceremony, the old man passed him the true inheritance of sorcerers. The sphere contains the history of all sorcerers, and the secrets of the totems. When the sphere entered his head, his soul was transferred to a strange space, where he saw the memory of a boy who was walking through the desert for his tribe for 2 days without eating anything. At nightfall, the boy used the artifact of his tribe and asked the gods to show him the future of his race. To make such a request, he used many divination potions and ended up committing a great taboo. That is why the heir best qualified to be a sorcerer would not live long. Even so, he did not regret it because he managed to see something wonderful. Seeing his son in that state, the sorceress used her magic to heal him. She also gave him advice that whatever he saw will be his secret and that he should not be around. At the mercy of that prediction, instead, he must keep it in his heart until that day comes. For now, he must concentrate on becoming stronger to guide his people. Hearing what his mother said, the boy promised to be a great leader while he waits for the arrival of that person who will take the tribe out of poverty. Years later, the boy became the new sorcerer, earning the admiration of his mother. Town. A few years later, the beasts attacked his tribe, and on that fateful day he ended up losing his son. He began to wonder if his vision was correct, since after a long time, his savior had not yet arrived. However, when he arrived in his old age, he still held firm to his belief. But the tribe of Black Snakes, taking advantage of the fact that he was no longer at the height of his youth, attacked his town. Honoring his title as the strongest sorcerer of his generation, he managed to save his people and take them to a safe place. The reason why he remained standing for so many years was because the person who would save him had not yet appeared. But sometime later, when the sorcerer saw the protagonist, he realized that the day had finally come, and his waiting, it was worth it. When he finished seeing his memories, his soul returned to reality and apologized for making him wait too long. The old man did not blame him, and he gave the future of his tribe to the person who will get him out of this suffering, and thus managing to rest in peace, having managed to complete the mission that was rooted in his heart throughout his life. The next day we see our protagonist wake up in his bed, because he fainted when he received the old man's inheritance. Feeling the power course through his body, he understood that the totem is magical power that evolves along with the user. Now his vision has improved a lot, and his body seems to have gained inexhaustible strength. Checking his status window, he saw that his stamina, strength, and speed doubled. He also realized that magic power and his spirit have similar values, so the system explained to him that magic power is the change of his spirit power. After doing his daily registration, the system detected that he had unclaimed packages. Upon reviewing them, he received a fruit knife and a book on linen textile crafts. The protagonist was disappointed, as only the crafting book would be useful to him, since most of the people of the tribe were animal skins. The next moment, the village chief appeared, saying that he should move to the main store more, since from now on, he is the sorcerer of his tribe. He agreed to live there, but before he asked about the old man's body, then the lion warrior appeared and said that they followed the will of the ancient sorcerer, cremated his corpse, leaving a relic at the end. Upon receiving it, he set out to build a temple in her honor. When they managed to recover the ancestral land, being in the main tent, he asked about the amount of food for the tribe. The lion warrior replied that there is not much meat left, just enough to distribute to the warriors, since they need them, because in the migration, many of them were captured by the warriors of the Black Snake tribe, and they may be dead or ended up being slaves. Understanding the threat of that tribe, he asked if they were close, but they told him that there is no need to worry that they come to the territory, since this land is a bit barren, and they do not like the place, and there are not many beasts nearby from the hunting grounds, so they must travel to find prey, and it takes about 3 days to get enough meat. These conditions make them bad and good at the same time, since the bad location makes it difficult to get the necessary food, but it also means that they will not be easy targets for those who want to attack them, and they will be able to develop in peace. Of course, for the protagonist, it's not a good idea to depend only on hunting to survive, so he planned to use other resources as a bargaining chip, instead of just using meat. As he thought about it, he remembered the book he received, and asked if they knew about flax. The lion replied that it is something rare and only the great tribes can create it. His desire as a young man was to have linen clothes, and leave it for the younger generations. The village chief also mentioned that they wanted to make this type of clothing, but after migration, they did not have much meat to use as a bargaining chip, and whenever the flax comes to the market, it is quickly sold. To buy just one roll that long, you need to exchange 300 pounds of meat. Seeing this, the protagonist instantly knew that this was a terrible monopoly, so he set his goal, which was to use flax to make everyone in the tribe could eat meat. Later we are shown a warrior wolf complaining that he was looking for herbs instead of going in search of some prey. For that reason, the lion warrior gave him a strong blow to the head and told him that they were doing this for the future of his tribe. Then he remembered when the main character said that he knew how to make linen, but he must be careful that no one from the outside finds out, otherwise his tribe will become the target of other races. That's why he gave the mission to the lion warrior, to search for certain plant when out hunting, which was the material needed to make the linen cloth. By entrusting him with such an important task, he was very motivated by wanting to complete it. Instead, our protagonist was very worried, because the meat was only enough for 15 days, and having little time, he did not know if he should personally teach everyone how to make flax, since its manufacturing method is a secret, so you can't tell it that easily. But if I had a proper assistant, I could teach him the complete steps and then have him teach the others step by step. Apart from that, there are still many problems in the tribe, such as clean water, salt, and hygiene problems. Just thinking about it gave him a headache, since he was just a simple writer who couldn't even take care of himself. When he was down, the girl appeared and was worried about him. Therefore, to find out if he was sick, she leaned her forehead against his, causing the protagonist to quickly move away from her, asking him what he was doing here. The girl tells him that she was outside the store to keep her safe from the sorcerer, but hearing the protagonist say that she is not trustworthy, she got angry and applied a key to him, telling him that she is the strongest among the reserve soldiers. After getting her to let go, he asked her if all wizards have to deal with these things, and the girl tells him no, since they all had an assistant, but he died fighting the Black Snake tribe. Knowing this, he asked if he could recommend someone to help him. She told him that he should choose an amiko instead of an assistant, since an amiko is a woman who always takes care of the sorcerer, doing housework, giving instructions, and various other things. For this world, an amiko was like the sorcerer woman, but she did not mention this last part, so when the protagonist asked who would be the right person for this position, she with a dejected expression says that she has someone in mind. This is how we are shown a memory of the girl, where her father told her that the new sorcerer would need an amiko sooner or later. But seeing her daughter indecisive, she asked her if there was something she hated about the new sorcerer, since it is a very valuable opportunity, so she must get it. The girl replied that she does not hate the protagonist, and also that becoming a friend is the dream of many tribe women, but she would have no way to take revenge if she became a friend in an amiko, so she doesn't care what happens. She will continue to be a warrior of the tribe, so that she can finish off the bastards of the Black Snake tribe. When she finished remembering this, she returned to reality, realizing that the protagonist was calling her by name. Then she took him to see her friend, and when she got to the right place, she saw 3 people working, but he only concentrated on looking for the girl he had described. It was very easy to recognize her, since she had the ears and tail of a fox. In addition to having a beauty that stands out a lot, this girl will be the person who will help him with his plans to guide the tribe in the future.